People, it is I, Alvaro Cortez Jr., aka Lance Danger, and I am doing a random live here today to start off February in a good way. I think I hear myself echoing a little bit there. Um, as you may know by now, I got a new finally soundboard after my cats destroyed the old one. And let's kickstart this week, my friends. And what is kickstart the week? First of all, saludos Chago Rodriguez of Chago the Approved Comics. I'll be sharing his channel a little bit later. He's doing also a series of videos chronicling his journey doing this Kickstarter challenge. And what is a Kickstarter challenge, you may ask? I'm glad you asked. Let's go ahead and present this son of a bitch. Kickstarter Challenge Acts of Vengeance, Volume 1. Now, what is a Kickstarter challenge? All this started in the live streams that I do on Wednesdays with my colleagues, Chago Rodriguez and Crazy Knight. We were going over at the time the second campaign for the pre orders of ISOM number 2, which is by, of course, Eric July and his Rippaverse. And at the time, also Edgardo Miranda of La Borinqueña was also doing a pre-order, well, more a traditional crowdfunding with another crowdfunding source, which I do not remember, but it's similar to Kickstarter, Indiegogo. I think it's called Zoop, ZOOP. And he was doing a crowdfunding for a hardcover collection of the first 3 issues, if I'm not mistaken, of his franchise La Borinqueña. And we just kind of went down the rabbit hole in that live stream about other crowdfunding campaigns and other websites that do pre-orders. And Chago is of the belief that a crowdfunding platform like Kickstarter is more of a social media kind of thing and not necessarily a um, source of revenue for your creative endeavors in the long term. So, in other words, that you really can't rely on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and similar platforms, as a main economical source for your product, unless you're like an already established creator, like a Sean Gordon Murphy, who has done various Kickstarters and Indiegogos now. Um, Even other companies like even DC Comics and Boom have done Kickstarters as well. So it's interesting because we went into that rabbit hole kind of back and forth of what the three of us thought what a Kickstarter or a crowdfunding is. Crazy Knight and myself are kind of the same thought in a way that crowdfunding essentially is a way to kind of test the waters for a product that you want to put out there. And if you have enough fans to be able to support it, it can definitely help not necessarily um be like the main source of income for the project, but it can help you kind of push you over the edge to help contribute to that project to, as the name says, kickstart that comic you want to do. And you can eventually find a community and also form, a fan base that will eventually help you consistently put out products out there, maybe not necessarily $1 million campaign like an Eric July or an Ethan Van Sciver, to give 2 examples, but something more consistent like a Brian Pulido with Lady Death, with Coffin Comics, or even Jimmy Palmiotti with Paper Films. That they are 2 great examples of 2 creators that have been doing it for a long time. They have their established fan base, and even though they probably won't have like $1 million campaign, they'll be able to do their campaigns in the range of 15,000 to 50,000 to be able to comfortably not worry about putting out their comics out there and not have to worry about how to pay their creative team and publishing and all, the business aspect of it. So it's an interesting kind of dynamic between Chago, Crazy Night, and myself, especially because we're coming from three very points of view in terms of our own creativity. Chago was away for various years after having been in the Puerto Rican comic book scene for a little bit. He was away for like 15 years. He was doing other creative stuff during that time. He was involved in filmmaking as well. Crazy Night has not published anything, and I've been consistently creating for the past like 20 plus years, maybe 22, 23 years now, since I started working in the independent scene in Puerto Rico. And I have continued that even moving here to New York. So it's three very points of views and three thought processes that are very interesting and different from one another. So after going through those various campaigns and, seeing ones that failed, others that were successful, others that just barely made it, and we kind of started like I started wondering what would happen if we actually did a crowdfunding event for something. And once I mentioned that, we went down the rabbit hole of a whole other rabbit hole of the potential of what could be done here, because again, three very different creators in very different stages of their professional lives in the sense of being creatives, and three particularly different ideas of what crowdfunders are or what crowdfunders should be. So after we talked about it on the live, offline, we've been talking like almost every day since last year, um, talking about doing a Kickstarter challenge, which is essentially the three of us putting out a project and see who gets funded. Now, it's not like a literal competition between the three of us. That's not the real point of it. Although I will admit I am a competitive asshole, so I'll probably will be trying to compete to some extent, but nothing too bad. My cat Luna seems to disagree. She knows how much of a competitive asshole I can be. I think she wants to appear on camera. She is not camera shy. I believe she's appeared before. She was taking her nap and heard me talking. She's not used to me doing live streams on a Monday, on a Monday evening, afternoon if you're watching in Puerto Rico still. Anyway, we went down that rabbit hole of, what if we do this? And we decided that since we're going to take this kind of, to another level, just to not to prove a point, but really to get ourselves out of our own comfort zones and put something out there, we went ahead and created some ground rules. Actually, now that I'm going to go into the ground rules, let me put on some music to live in this live. You gotta love the lo-fi. I'm here talking, talking, and talking, and I hope I'm actually have audio here. Because last time I had a lot of problems when the soundboard was destroyed. Anyway, what are the rules of this Kickstarter challenge that we put forth in front of us? Everything must be done as a one-man band. And what I mean by one-man band, we have to do everything from the writing to the artwork to the lettering to the promoting. We're essentially doing everything ourselves. Chicago says you're good. Thank goodness, because I was a little bit worried. I announced this stream very last second, so sounds great. Thank you so much. I'm still doing it from the headphones. I'm not doing it from this mic, yes, yet. I'm going to set that up later because I know there's also when I connect the condenser mic, there's a little bit of a robotic clang in the background. Sometimes it's not very noticeable, but since I do hear myself through the headphones when I'm talking out of any mic through the soundboard, I hear it a lot louder than what it actually sounds like on the streams, and it's very nauseating to me, man. I like get nausea and everything with all that sound in the background. But anyway, the ground rules. These are them rules. Everything must be done as a one man band, as I was explaining. We all have to do everything ourselves. We're not subcontracting anyone else like to help with the lettering or help with the coloring, packaging design, whatnot. We're literally doing this all ourselves, which is very interesting. The second one that we put was no previously released or previously announced projects. And that was done more specifically for myself. And I kind of also suggested part of that as well because I didn't want to have like that unfair advantage that I have 20 years worth of material already. If I were to say, okay, I'm going to do the Truthful Comics edition of Fred Peterson, The Mighty Warlord, as a trade paperback, the first 6 chapters, and offered that as a Kickstarter. That would be kind of unfair to an extent to both Chicago and Crazy Knight, since they don't have like previously published material, and the previous materials that Chicago has published before, he doesn't have the rights to it. So it would be kind of an unfair advantage in that aspect. So the three of us are going to start with completely new projects, completely fresh, completely from the bottom of our hearts. And we're not selecting just any type of project. We are selecting the probably the hardest projects that we could have put ourselves to actually do because once again, this challenge is more ourselves challenging ourselves to do something different and you know get out of that comfort zone, think outside the box, and just put something new out there, and not necessarily just like retread something we have had done before or anything like that. So Chago and Crazy Knight definitely could have been the liberty to like use any unannounced project that they could have, retaken and use it for that. Um, they are OG ballers, man. They are like, no, we're gonna do this from scratch too, and that's why we're all so excited for this challenge. Um, Once again, like must be done from scratch, as I was explaining. That you know, of course, branched off of previously released or previously unannounced project, um, or previously announced project. We're doing everything from scratch. I'm actually going to show you some of my progress later on. So as soon as we finished laying down the ground rules that first time that we started chatting offline, that was pretty much ground zero. From that day on is that we've been trying to find a time within the day to, work on the project here and there. But we literally started that day after we put down the ground rules, like I don't know, maybe 7, 8 months ago. That's when we pretty much started this whole project. Minimum of 44 pages. We wanted to do something that was meaty, something that would kind of, in our minds, justify doing a Kickstarter. 22 pages for a floppy would have been probably. Um, I'm trying to find the right words because I know there are actual campaigns for floppies that are about 20 to 30 pages, which is great. Don't get me wrong. But again, we're trying to challenge ourselves to put something with a little more substance out there. Not to say that there's no substance in 22 pages. Obviously, I've done 12-page ash cans and mini comics, but for the challenge that we're putting forth to one another, to each other, for ourselves, we want to like go, balls to the wall with this, like commit to the bit. If we're going to do this challenge, we are going to live up to the name challenge. So minimum 44 pages. Um, Originally, it was a maximum of 44 pages, but as time went on and as we were um, progressing with our respective projects, that kind of ballooned a little bit to more than 44 pages. So we just said to ourselves, fuck it, 44 pages minimum, so we can tell graphic novel, French, Belgium style, European style albums, which are more kind of like going towards graphic novel rather than traditional comic. We want to be able to tell one complete story that makes sense and that feels like its own story. And then off of that, if the challenge is successful enough, we'll continue to do more volumes of that particular story. So I'm pretty sure, definitely in my case, and I think in Chago and Crazy Knight's case as well, I don't want to speak for them, but definitely in my case, even if my crowdfunding isn't successful, I'm still going to put the story out there because again, the challenge portion of this is to make us get out of our comfort zone and create something new and different and challenging. Everyone wins in that sense. If you guys want to read something different, something new from any of us, you're going to have a lot of content, either late this year going into next year. Yes, thank you for confirming, Chago, saying me too. All right. It can be in black and white or in color. It depends on how sadistic you are against yourself. Um, of course, I'm going to likely do mine in color. Again, it'll depend on like what my own schedule is like because, as I mentioned, I am doing the Truthful Comics edition of Fred Pierce and the Mighty Warlord. I'm doing other projects as well. I'm working on other commissions. So it'll be a little difficult to maybe do it in color. I might end up doing it manga style, black and white with different tones to like, help it, give that sense of depth in it. Um, and again, I'm not going to speak for Chago or Crazy Night how they're going to do their respective projects. I would much rather they inform you guys. I don't want to like do a spoiler about that. Like yes, stay tuned to Chago approved channel and Crazy Night when he does his channel as well. And I'll definitely be putting that up, um, those links when um, I have the chance. Chago has thrown down the gauntlet. He's doing it black and white. That's the smart thing to do, I think, to do it in black and white, at least for um, time wise. It'll definitely save me a lot of time. So I'll get back to you guys on that if I do it in black and white or in color. And the final ground rule was that the tiers are up to what we want to put. So there's like no real restriction when it comes to the tiers. We can put as many or as little as we want. We can offer as much or as little as we can. Definitely, we're going to be brainstorming what we could even do to offer for tiers for this challenge. So again, that's going to be a whole other brainstorming session in of itself when the time comes to do that, of course. Hopefully, we'll be able to come up with tiers that'll help incentivize you guys to get the product, and hopefully, you know, there'll be fun little things that'll help enhance your enjoyment of the comic and whatnot. And again, it depends on how sadistic we want to be, how sadistic and masochistic we want to be with ourselves in terms of what we want to offer and what we can do. So that's going to be interesting. So those are the ground rules. Anyone else that wants to throw their hat into the ring as well are definitely welcome to do it. There's no prize if you actually, um, make the complete the challenge in the sense of funding your comic. The prize will be that your comic got funded. That's a prize in itself. Actually, yes, doing the comic is a prize in itself, to be honest. You know, because again, everyone wins. You get out of your comfort zone and you create something, and the public wins because they'll be treated to new material that's going to be out there and hopefully enjoy. And it'll be another creative voice out there in the world, and the world always needs more creative voices, in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much the ground rules. If you guys want to join into this little challenge that we put forth, I believe one of our viewers from Boricua Contra Todo, Fabs, has actually thrown his hat in the ring as well, or mentioned that he was going to consider doing it as well in a live stream. So hopefully, he'll be able to do it as well, and anyone else that wants to join this crazy journey of ours. Now I just wanted to show very important, and that's very true. Bragging rights, Chicago. Yes, bragging rights. Speaking of bragging rights, let me stop the presentation. Again, I am a comparative asshole sometimes, and Chado, I know you've been talking about crayons and that you were thinking about doing stuff with crayons for the challenge and just in comics in general. I just want to show you, buddy. Haha, the great equalizer. This is 64. 64, like the great Nintendo 64. This is the great equalizer for me. And not only does it have 64 crayons, it has a sharpener. Checkmate. Yes, hearts for the crayons. Now, to go a little bit into my project, Acts of Vengeance, and there's a little teaser image I had done a while back for this story. Acts of Vengeance is essentially the story of the dangers of not letting go of the past. Because if you don't let go of the past, that eventually is going to catch up to you in the present and could affect your future as well. So there are things that happen in the past to these characters that affect their current lives, and they can't really move on from it. And it's also pretty much a story, of course, about love, which is a big theme in most of my projects as well. It's about love loss, regret, again, not being able to let go of the past, and a lot of mystery. There's definitely a lot of mystery because in the heart of this story, it is a crime murder mystery. So this is our protagonist right here. His name is Jake Garrison, and this is pretty much how he's going to look like as an adult because there is kind of like a back and forth between what happened in the past and what's going on in the present. So there's that plot element. As you can see, he is a officer of the law. Here he is as an adult. He's a little bit disheveled, like in the previous teaser image as well. He is disheveled. You know, has a bit of fruit on that knife there, eating it kind of like a psycho while wearing the police uniform. It is a small town where he is from. This is a small town police station. This is how he looks like as a teenager because the story pretty much starts off in his teenage years and goes into adulthood. And again, we go kind of back and forth between the present and the past, kind of like showing mostly the present, but showing bits and pieces from the past that kind of shows you what led to this moment and how that could affect the future of these characters. So Jake Garrison is one of the main characters. I consider it two main characters really in this book. It's kind of like a buddy cop in a way movie, you know, kind of like in the vein of, well, not it's not like as comedic as a buddy cop movie like Lethal Weapon or um oh, I actually forgot the name of the Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker movie, Rush Hour. It's not like the Lethal Weapon and Rush Hour franchises that were more action comedy. This is more like in the vein of Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, Mystic River, The Departed. There's going to be a lot more of a drama aspect and a lot more heavy themes touched upon this story. It's not to say that it's a complete downer. It's definitely going to have its funny moments as well, but it's not going to be as uppity as a buddy cop movie traditionally is. And there is the timeline, of course. Originally, it was going to be done in 3 months. At least that's what we thought. How it was going to be, like that we were going to finish our respective comics in about 3 to 4 months. After we finish it, then we would start with the campaign and whatnot. But a lot of shit happened behind the scenes. So, um, to all of us, respectively, to be fair, life gets in the way a lot of times. And personally, a lot of things happen behind the scenes that I don't feel completely comfortable talking about. And you guys know that I'm always transparent with you guys when something happens to me specifically. I'll always let you guys know, hey, this situation happened. I couldn't get this done. Full accountability. But in this case, it's not just myself. Other people are involved, and even though they wouldn't mind if I talked about it in such a public space, I personally kind of do. So there are certain aspects of my life I definitely would like to keep, private. You know, and it's not like there's like a million people that come to my channel and watch it yet. But again, there's certain aspects of our lives that we would really like to keep private as well. So I do appreciate respecting that privacy. Um, so yeah, a lot of things. Aside from also, as you guys know, um, former editor in chief, our eldest cat in chief, had passed away. He had passed away like maybe a month into announcing the challenge or something like that, or a couple of months into the challenge. And it was a struggle because had gotten very sick all of a sudden, and of course, he was a 14-year-old cat. He lived a very, very full life for a cat, and all of a sudden, it's like his system was shutting down. We tried everything in our power and with our resources to try to keep him with us, almost selfishly to an extent, I think, because again, it's part of like the story I was talking about. Sometimes it's kind of hard to let go. Hmm. But sometimes you have to. And that was a very difficult time. And again, a lot of things were happening at the same time as well, health wise in my case, and other external stuff. And, it got kind of like accumulated, and it kind of didn't become a priority to invest as much time into this challenge as otherwise I would with any other project, so to speak. So um, that's definitely the reason why I took so long to even make a video to properly talk about the Kickstarter challenge. It wasn't only until recently that I was able to like have a breather and have something resolved where I can like sit down and be like, okay, I can accommodate this here, and that there, and find the space to be able to work on my other projects and work on this as well. So hopefully you'll be able to see more of the progress as I keep working on this, and you guys come along for the journey as well, hopefully. So the new timeline at least for Acts of Vengeance, is about 4 to 6 months. Why 4 to 6 months? Because um, we're, as I said before, we're all doing it from scratch, and also contrary to many campaigns that have not started their product or are at least halfway into their product by the time they announce their crowdfunding campaign. We're actually doing the whole comic before launching the actual crowdfunding campaign. So we're going to do our best possible to finish our product. Times will vary. Tago himself has probably the biggest head start out of the three of us. He could probably finish a lot faster than the three of us, and he'll probably launch his first. Then when Crazy Knight is ready, he'll launch his. When I'm ready, I'll launch mine, and hopefully, all three of us will be able to get it nice and funded. And like we said, even if we don't fund it, we're going to be putting it out there to an extent anyway. But we hope to. I want to be right. Damn it. Again, that's the competitive side of me coming out. And as I was already explaining, the comic will be done completely before launching the campaign. This is more of a strategic move to be able to also have a quick turnaround of delivering the product after the funding is complete and whatnot, so that people won't have to wait too long for it. Even though people like myself are used to sometimes receiving a product 2, 3 months down the line, in some cases years down the line. But we're not big names yet, so we don't want to have to go through that risk, of doing this campaign, and then it getting funded, but not having the actual product done, or at least halfway done. So we decided to just do the do the comic completely before even launching the campaign. So that way we can at least have a product guarantee that is going to be arriving to a customer if they participate in this crowdfunding and this pre-order and whatnot. So that's pretty much the basics of this Kickstarter challenge, and just saw a little bit of what I'm doing myself. And once again, Chago, the great equalizer. Come stop me now, boy. I got the great equalizer. Anyway, um, anyone that has any questions, you're welcome to ask them, whether it be in the chat, whether it be in the comments section of the replay, or you can just reach out to any of us through social media. If you want to ask anything regarding the challenge. But wait, there's more. I just want to show some complemental material for Acts of Vengeance. This here is actually the logo that I came up with for the comic. Of course, it's not the final. It's not going to be the final logo, but I wanted to have something to at least kind of visualize what's going to be happening. This was like when we were back doing the earliest conversations that we were having about doing this Kickstarter challenge. And actually, let me show this real quick. This is the actual sketchbook I'm using to do my brain dump and stream of consciousness kind of stuff to do for the comic and whatnot. This is the very first thing I did. Again, the logo and a small visual of how I imagined the character being. So there's a more or less of the logo, Acts of Vengeance, Volume 1, Carry the Sorrow. And again, that's the working title. Even the title of the book itself could change if it makes sense story wise. Let me show something else real quick. And these are just like notes that I'm taking. The first notes I took for Acts of Vengeance. Because that's kind of how I work. I kind of like think about the ending of the story. Usually, I think about the ending and work my way back from there. For this particular story, I kind of actually thought about the beginning and the ending kind of simultaneously. So I went ahead and wrote those notes on the sketchbook because I usually use the sketchbook to write little notes as well to complement any story I'm writing. And these are two like possible promotional artworks that I can, um, of course, finish and polish for the campaign. Kind of like the protagonist Jake doing like the classic sliding and pew pew pew, and the bottom one, I know it's not very clear, but it's someone reloading their weapon. I don't want to like say too many things that'll cause Google to nuke this stream and nuke my channel. If you know, you know. See here. This is another promotional idea that I had. Once again, Jake with his weapon up against the wall, just about to turn a corner. This could be either promotional or it could eventually be a scene in the comic itself. This is the other protagonist. It's kind of like a mirror kind of image kind of thing. Um, Kind of like if think like Jim Lee when he did that Batman cover and that Superman cover where they're like facing each other, and eventually he did a third cover with Wonder Woman in the middle. But you know, that's kind of how these two pieces are. It's like one protagonist is against one side of the wall and the other protagonist is on the other wall. You know, one's about to jump up, but the other one's already kind of jumping out with their weapon. Is it against each other? Is it one having the other's back? Is one going to betray the other? You're gonna have to read the comic, especially to know what got them into that situation in the first place. And here is this mysterious girl. Um, Once again, I'm not going to go too much into details. I don't want to spoil the story too much. So this is another idea I had for promotional artwork for Kickstarter itself and the possible image for the trailer for the product. Again, I this was like one of the very first images that came to my mind when I thought of this story. A lot of this story is going to revolve around this specific character. This is a character that sets forth in motion a lot of the things that happen as much in the past as in the present time as well, and is part of that whole of story of not being able to let go and the mystery and lost love and regrets, you know, all that good stuff, all that good comic book shit. I have one more thing to share real quick here. This is just me kind of having things organized for um the challenge. Of course, I have everything divided neatly into different folders. So I have the artwork in one folder, and not just the artwork, but everything subdivided into different folders to make it easier to access it later and work on it. Like I have like a folder for the specific comic book pages, a folder for promotional art, a folder for character designs, con- a folder for concepts, a folder for marketing concepts, so on and so forth. No, it's a lot more detailed than what I'm used to doing. Usually, I'll just make a folder and boom, dump everything there. But for the purpose of doing this Kickstarter challenge, which is a little bit more business like the approach as well, I had to do it to be able to like have everything nice and accessible for once again, since I don't have as much time as I would like to dedicate to this project, I need to have everything nice and ready for myself for when I sit down like today and just be like, oh, I'm gonna work on Acts of Vengeance a little bit, even if it's half an hour today. I want to like just sit down and be able to know where I have my script, where I have my notes, where I have the character design, so I can build from there, and make it easier for myself and be able to work more efficiently, be able to deliver this product to all of you guys out there. So yeah, that's basically it. Um, you had the ground rules. You had a sneak peek into what my story is going to be, a sneak peek into my process, a sneak peek into my great equalizer, and these bitchin' shades, and my Evangelion t shirt. There's nothing much to say. I'm not going to keep you all with the yakety yak. Um, Once again, this is just a challenge to motivate us to get off our butts and do something out of our comfort zones. And some of you have asked me actually, um, why are you doing like the Kickstarter? Isn't it going to complicate things for your other project? Wouldn't it be better to like do certain projects and concentrate on other stuff? And some people actually telling me like I've always seen you more kind of like a hobbyist doing comics, not necessarily delve into the business aspect of it. So what are you? Are you a hobbyist or are you in it for the business? And I'm here to tell you, why not both? you know, Obviously, I have a huge love for comics. If I've been in this mess for over 20 years now, I definitely have had a very indie, super indie, underground centric mentality when it comes to comics, almost like original punk rock um, mentality to comic books, kind of like shake the system and you know take it to the man, and of course doing it my way and walking to the beat of my own drum and all those nice cliches that I like about myself so much. But it's also I have come to the realization that I kind of do want to branch out a little bit more and reach a wider public, the works that I'm doing, not to satisfy any ego or just or not to embiggen myself or whatever, but just to leave a nice legacy behind of stories that hopefully people will enjoy and share either with their friends or their family, and hopefully spark some conversation and whatnot. As a creator, that's the best thing I can hope for, that my works actually get talked about, between people, whether it's because they hated it that fucking much or because they really enjoyed it and wanted to share with other people. You know, that would definitely mean the world for me, even from the great beyond, to just leave something of substance behind and that people, enjoy. Enjoy because they hated it or enjoyed because they loved it. As long as they talk about it and consume the product, that's all I could ask for. you know. And of course, I'm injecting a lot more of a business mentality to be able to do that. Thankfully, Warlord actually, oddly enough, had its biggest December it's had since I launched those original comics back in 2010, which thank you all so much. The Cannon Girl Truthful Comics Edition Volume 2 is going to be coming out soon. I had sent the files to Blam. There was a bit of a snafu. I had to re-upload them, and hopefully they'll be available soon. Um, through either through myself or through their Indie Planet online shop. Big news is that I was able to finalize my Amazon authors page. So I already uploaded the Nevermind Truthful Comics Edition Volume 1 up there. Um, Bloody Bone Rage of the Lucky 13 Part 1 and 2 is still up there. I'm actually going to be uploading something different every month. So expect Part 3 of Funny Bone um, Rage of the Lucky 13 being up there soon, hopefully this week, actually. As always, I will make an announcement. And also, a quick announcement, especially if you follow me on Patreon. If you are a Patreon patron, I have big news. You know that trailer that I've been playing for a couple of weeks now for Fred Pierce and the Mighty Warlord Truthful Comics Edition Prologue? For this weekend only, from Friday through Sunday, that comic's going to be available to all my Patreon backers at any level. If you are a Patreon backer for even $1, you are going to have access to that comic for that weekend. And not just that, you're going to have access to all my other e-comics. You can download them digitally for that same price of $1. Just look through all the files in my Patreon. It should be all nice and organized. And you can download older PDFs like the original Warlord um, 3 issues, well, 4 issues that I had originally printed through Kablam and from the 2010s. You can download stuff like Wepamani Wepito, Truthful Comics Edition, The Cannon Girl 1 and 2, because as always, I make a PDF available on Patreon before it goes up on sale on Indie Planet or in comic book shops. Stupid the Cat, of course, the aforementioned Nevermind, and there's also high resolution artwork that you can download as well. And I'm going to be putting up a plethora, yes, plethora, that's how many new stuff I'm going to be uploading there. Ever since last month, I started posting again on Patreon. I do understand why almost everyone left my Patreon because there was like a span of about a year that I really wasn't posting consistently. Again, taking accountability, that was my bad. I could talk about how I was sick or how a lot of things happened, but it's my responsibility to keep up with my own um, studio and my own products, and it's my responsibility to take care of any patrons or readers, and hopefully I'll do a better job of that this year and moving forward, of course. So that's pretty much the long and short of it. There's the Kickstarter challenge. There's the commercial part of it. There's nothing left to say but thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, whether it was on the live or on the replay. Hopefully, you'll stick around and watch other stuff in my videos. I did have to private some videos because, again, YouTube algorithm works in mysterious ways. If you do too many live streams in a row and not enough original content that's pre-recorded, you get um you get people that get unsubscribed. It's like they nuke your subscriber count all of a sudden, and my subscriber count at one point went from almost at 1,050 subs to like 1,010 subs, which is a pretty drastic, pretty sharp drop for a small channel as of mine is. So I'm going to go ahead and be uploading more content consistently as well. So I hope you all enjoy the previous content and the future content that's coming up on the channel. I've been uploading more content again, and I'm already in the 1020s again. Let's see how much that lasts. But yeah, thank you all so much for viewing. I hope you all stick around. I hope you all enjoy the content that I'm producing, whether it's these videos or blogs or web comics or artwork. Once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for checking this out. Once again, check out the trailer for Fred Peterson, The Mighty Warlord, Truthful Comics Edition Prologue. Once again, is going to be available only for next weekend from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And once Monday comes, it's gone, man. You're gonna have to wait until the book is published, and either you get it as part of the Patreon package of being a patron, or you're gonna have to wait to buy it when it's on Indie Planet or in a comic book shop, hopefully near you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all next time. Let's watch this video. I do enjoy this video if I say so myself. Now you see me. Now you